Audio Jungle.
It's a world, man.
Man, I was gonna get into the I was gonna, I had some other stuff I thought Board Chiller might grace us with his presence, so I was ready for him. I was gonna talk about the U.S. elections coming up and how we got heavy impacted by that, and I was gonna throw out the GDP came out and was released today, and the two different narratives. You had the one side on this side, you got the other side on that side, and I was gonna break down the mortgage rates and the soaring dollar and the cyclicals versus non-cyclicals and what does it all mean and what but let's forget all that. Let's don't even go there today. Let's just keep it moving, man. Let's just look at some levels that we're looking at. Maybe I can get IO focus on here too to see if my levels that I'm looking at are the same. We're just going to skip all that other stuff. If anybody's interested in that, I can throw out a tweet, or you can just ask me, send me a DM if you care about the macro picture. We're going to move on. We're looking at I have FG. If you could maybe even pin my tweet, I think it's a great tweet where I look at the Dixie and correlation. If you zoom out, take a step back, look at the macro picture going back to 2013, and I look at the correlation and the inverse that plays out between the Dixie and BTC, and there's a great inverse correlation there. I put the video out in B3L Discord, and I also sent it a tweet out because I thought it was important to get a good visual of that. It just breaks it down real simple, real nice and clean. So basically, what it goes back to is 2013. As a Dixie goes in bull markets, the BTC goes in bear markets. So here we're watching the Dixie really close at this 110 level. It looks like it wanted to hold that 109 Fibonacci retracement. So very, very important. Banging the table on the Dixie here at 110. We already talked about it in the Discord chat earlier. Very important levels here on the Dixie. Now, with that being said, we've already talked about Bitcoin and IO Focus already threw out the levels for Ether. We can talk about that again. For BTC right now, I think we're trying to hold this 20.3 level. If we cannot get above that 20.7, I'm watching this 20.7 level pretty heavy for BTC. If we can't push up above and hold that 20.7, then looking to possibly move back down and test that 19.8 on Bitcoin. I think that 20.7 level is very important. That is the 3-day 20 EMA on the BTC CME futures chart. If you don't look at the BTC CME futures chart, again, I've been banging the table for a while now. You might want to start incorporating that into your trading strategy. Just at least glance at it. I think the indicators there work pretty well, even in conjunction with the BTC index chart, because they do show different moving averages and some different levels and the gaps on the CME. So with that being said, Bitcoin over 20.7, and I'm bullish. I'm bullish to 24 if we can hold that 20.7 area. If we keep getting rejected here at this 20.7, then again, I'm looking for 19.8 short term and possibly even a move lower back to test that 18.7, 18.5 area. So that's the level for me, that 20.7. Now, if we look at Ether, we're on a good run on this Ether. Ether right now is currently sitting around, let's say 1550. We're down 0.5%. We are rocking and rolling. It looks like we have a magnet for Ether. If we can push through this this level at say 1590, 1588, 1590, just say 1600. Hell, if we can push through this 1600 level and hold there, then it looks like we're going to have a magnet on Ether to the 382 Fibonacci at 1690. So I'm definitely watching Ether very close here. We did make a move. I do have it pinpointed in this this micro uptrend channel, and if we can get a magnet to that 382 and that 1690, and we can push up above there and hold there, then I'm eyeing that 1770. 1770 is an important level. That's the daily 200 EMA, and it's also a mid-linear regression. Now, if you don't know any of this lingo, if you're not a big trader, if this sounds foreign, like a foreign language, then feel free, hit me up, get at me. There's me, IO Focus, there's Richie, there's all kinds of big time traders in B3L. We're not about the financial advice. Do your own research, but we can help give you the tools. And if you show the interest, and if you have the interest to look past just the NFT space, then there are a lot of there's a lot of help and a lot of other benefits within our community that can help you long term, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road, because that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for what's going to happen next month. We're looking for a 10-year, 10 years down the road, down the line commitment. Anyway, back to Ether. If we could push up, take that 1690, push up that 1700, and we're going to magnet to that 1770. And then that's the line in the sand for me. If we can get above that 1770, that 2000 is right above us. I know it sounds crazy, we're in a bear market, but if these levels do hold, if we can hold that 1500 on Ether, it's something to watch. Now, if we do break down and we drop below that 1500, I am looking for that 1316 area. So watching the 1500 level, a breakdown of 1500 on Ether, then I'm looking at a target on the short side to 1316. If we can hold that 1600 or 1588, now I'm looking for the push up to 1690 and possibly 1770. Now, with that being said, if it's okay, I'm going to pass it IO Focus. I just want to make sure that we're seeing the same things on the charts. Make sure that you don't have, or maybe you do have, other target areas that you're looking at. Can you help me out with my levels and just make sure that I'm on the right page and I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at, bro?
Yeah, yeah. 20 Bitcoin. You very well said. I think 20,700 for Bitcoin. If it can't really seem to clear that level today, I'm more bearish than bullish on Bitcoin. Same thing with Ethereum right now at about 1560 here at point of control, trying to get back up to the daily open, 1566. Personally, I think Ethereum looks a little stronger than Bitcoin right here at these levels. And yeah, I mean, you didn't sound foreign to me, bro. You sounded great.
Okay, and one thing I'd also, FG, I'm going to continue a little bit while we got input on the mic. Now, everybody, we've been banging the table on Dogecoin. Again, not financial advice, do your own research, but Bridge3 Labs isn't just about the NFTs. It's just about we're in here. We're making things. We're making some moves, and the founders are definitely making some big moves. And we've been all over this Dogecoin trade, this Elon Musk, this Twitter takeover. And right now, Dogecoin is about to test that level that we talked about. Input. I posted it in the crypto winter B3L chat. We're getting ready to test that daily 200 EMA at just over 8 cents on Dogecoin. So Dogecoin right now is currently up well over 11%. And if we can get above that 8 cents and hold, FG, you might be onto something, with this continued run into Friday.
To the degrees. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Can we run the numbers for small bros? Do you guys have that?
Wait, can you say that again? Sorry.
I was kidding. I said 2 degrees. Do you have the numbers for small bros? Let's run the number for small bros.
That's outside. That's outside of that's outside of my realm of expertise. If you have the small bros numbers, you feel free to run them.
There we go. No, I was just kidding. No, it's good, bro. Good stats. It's really, really great to have your insight on the market right now. I'll let you guys go, actually.
Okay. Now, as you were mentioning, 2 degrees, I believe we bought into Dogecoin about 0.053 back in at the beginning of October. And now it's ranging around the 0.08. Obviously, I don't think this is going to be a sustainable rally, but we will see. I mean, obviously, Twitter transaction is closing tomorrow. There's a lot of buzz, and you know what happens with anything that Elon Musk talks about is essentially like a pump and dump for crypto and NFTs, right? So as of right now, we're doing great. As I mentioned on the Discord, we actually uploaded a little bit of our portfolio on Doge since we bought almost 2 million coins at the beginning of October. So let's see how that runs.
Yeah, and I think this is a great time. And input, IO Focus and I, we were talking about this just before we jumped on the spaces. You know, this is not a bad spot. I'm actually looking at maybe locking in some profits here on this Dogecoin trade at this daily 200 EMA at 8 cents. I'm not gonna exit the position because I did bang the table on I want to ride this thing, and I got the okay from the wifey to just let it roll. So we're gonna let it play out. But that's what I got, FG. If you any questions down low for me or IO Focus, just hit us up and let's keep it moving.
No, definitely. I appreciate it 2 degrees. That's a great overview of the market. As always, I say to the audience that anyone that is, wanting to ask any questions or excited about what we're talking about, please request the mic on the left and we'll bring you onto stage. I just wanted to, before we move into NFTs, I wanted to ask IO Focus. You've been making some power moves on not only ETH and Bitcoin, but also sushi and AVAX. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about it and how do you go about those trades?
Yeah, sure. More recently, as things are starting to pick up over the last month or so, a little bit in the crypto market, and there's been quite a bit of volatility. I always start eyeing exchange tokens or even DEX tokens, being like Uniswap, Sushi, KuCoin. The KCS coin, KuCoin's been getting a lot of volumes recently. Or just there, I mean, if there's certain exchanges you believe strongly in, say like FTX and the FTT token, might not be a bad idea.
Well, cool. Definitely, you have made you have turned some necks on the Discord. People looking at you as the top trader. So,
Well,
uh,
thanks. I'm up 300% on my Doge since you founders made your move, so that was great.
uh, all good, man. So, okay, so now I think it's about time to turn to NFTs. I know there's a lot of people in the audience that are probably thinking, "What are we talking about here?" But there's a bunch of news in the NFT world, and I think the best person to talk about it is our good friend and analyst Rhodes DB. Nice looking PFP, man. You're back at to the MFers. Congrats on that purchase. It's handsome looking MFer right there. How is it going today, man?
Hey there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, but I've always resonated with MFers. I was in MFers a way back. One of the first projects I got into, and bought them at that nice low price. I unfortunately sold out on the run, thinking that I could trade it as it was moving up and down, and it seemed to be cycling. And unfortunately, I lost the big tear upward. So lesson learned there, but a lot of fun with that, and happy to find an MFer that I resonate with. Um, what I first wanted to touch on was the uh, recent and amazing partnership announced with B3L and Alpha Sharks. I, unprompted, a few days ago, did post about Alpha Sharks, as I recently picked one up to use their View trading platform, and I'm quite liking it. It's been a very simple, concise, effective platform, and I would like to, now that B3L members have access, be able to do some learning and trading sessions on the Discord and in the club chat channel, and do a little screen share, and look at some projects. Now, with that said, I did run the numbers on Small Bros, and woo! I mean, like, I, to be honest, I was like, okay, I'll run the numbers, but I'm not expecting to see anything wild or anything like that. But I'm not a technical analysis, but one of the magical features of Alpha Sharks is you can run a trading view chart, and looking at the run that we're seeing here, and the crazy recent surge of volume, there is some positive indicators there. However, the 0.065 number is where I'm looking at potential resistance. I did put the chart and drop it down into Discord group chat there. So I don't know if there's any more that the TI guys want or TA guys want to say on that. But I do see some bullish signals here. Obviously, it's all about momentum in the NFT space, and having communities show up, having communities represent, and I'm a fan of what you have there for a PFP and art, and excited to learn more about the community here as we carry on in the space. So good numbers, I will say. Carrying into more and additional numbers and what's going on. Obviously, there's been a wild week. Um, you know, uh, First off was and I'm trying to think if that was as of last week, if we had Blur.io. I think we did,
Yeah.
but we did we?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
were talking about
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's been around for I think what since the uh, 18th or so. So yeah, a couple days prior to the last one. So that's still a little bit in my show notes here. So we'll skip over that. But I mean, one of the challenges we face in the space right now is that because it's both an aggregator and a trading platform, we don't see the volume easily on what's happening on Blur. Probably the best space to capture that at the moment is Dune Analytics, and I did run some numbers on it, and they're capturing about 10% of the market. One of the interesting phenomenons that is happening on Blur is that there seems to be lower floor prices. Typically we've seen that with Looks Rare and even sometimes on X2, although X2 seems to hold a little bit higher prices. Is that because there is no fees on the platform for trading fees? Maybe that promotes a little bit lower prices. Also, there's the mystery reward incentive that's causing a little bit lower prices. So keep that in mind when you're shopping around. I tend to like when I'm not trading a volume play and buying into a collection as I did with MFers. I like to go in there with collection offers, and it took me several days to be able to buy the one that I did. And in fact, there's one that I still prefer more that I missed out on by point oh 0.01 on an offer. Someone outbid me, and then it got accepted. So, it's the game you play, but you will get value that way in doing those offers. And in a nice way is if you're getting a collection offer in there and it's accepted, it does mitigate some of that downside risk. For instance, goblins, which within the B3L community, we've been positive towards. I got a collection offer accepted in there about 10% below floor. However, floor was up at the moment, and now we're trading down back towards that range. So it does mitigate some of the downside risk, and it's a good way to do it if you're making it more of a methodical trade. So just always keep that in mind. What did happen, and over the weekend, I mean, has been around for some time, but really caught the attention was Reddit NFTs. So they're actively being traded on Polygon. You can see them on OpenSea, and you can see the Polygon trading volume activity. I put out a recent video um, to that extent where you can see the collections and what's happening on Polygon. There's also a website out there for it. I didn't note it, but let me see if I still have it in my history here. So redditfloor.com, another way to look at some of those projects. They're currently down 20 to 40% from the highs that they saw on Monday. So, a bit of a early hype cycle, as we always see in the space. We're going to watch it. We're going to want to see it kind of tone down. And FG, did you have something to add there?
Yeah, no, I think that almost down 80%, man. 'Cause, I was just looking today on Dune Analytics, and I believe on Monday they peaked at 2.5 million sales, which is about 1,900 NFTs sold, or whatever they call it, digital collectibles, right? Uh,
Mhm.
Avatars. And then today, I believe it was under 300,000, or yesterday. So I believe that's 80% drop.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, talk
Can,
about pumping down.
what
yeah, I
Nicholas, can
mean,
I ask you a quick?
floor price. Sorry, go ahead, IO.
I was just asking, like, since this was, I feel like a clear example of onboarding a bunch of new thousands of people that have never had traded NFTs before into the environment and maybe some of the dump afterwards. Would you expect the same thing coming from when Starbucks, I think, later by next month, does their initiative with their NFTs?
I expect Starbucks is probably going to be similar in the terms of the way they rolled it out. a little bit of a hidden wallet, seamless integration, depending on what they're releasing. Is there value in what they have? Is it something that resonates with Starbucks holders, and therefore the speculation purchases come in? I suspect a lot of the activity on the Reddit NFTs were actually uh, individuals that were already in the NFT space. I'm sure there was some carryover, but there's 3 million wallets. There's
Yeah.
been numbers thrown around that maybe 3,200 were active in trading, um, post getting their initial acquisition. So it's still driven by the traders or the collectors in the space already. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely see us getting crazy about it and hyping it up and going on it. But I don't know what Starbucks can do to drive that kind of scenario. I mean, Reddit is a unique scenario in the terms of I think it's Snoo being uh, a figure that is um, loved in Reddit, and the community's been around forever, and it's such a strong community that there's a lot more factors at play that made it successful, and why there's influencers or people in the Twitter spaces here that still believe strongly in Reddit NFTs. I'm fading it a little bit in the sense that there's just going to be so much uh, additional production. There's not going to be that. There will be pockets of limited supply and collections that are believed to be good, but to my understanding, at least what we've seen so far, is we're going to see more of the same.
Yeah.
And I think that might dilute it a little bit, and it's going to continue to probably result in less promising results. FG.
Yeah, no, sorry to interrupt you. I just see it as a positive, right? Like, I mean, back in February when we had those crazy volumes in OpenSea, right? Like, and obviously, like 60 or 70% of the people have left. You see, there's a very interesting chart on, I believe is, I don't know if it's in Dune or another analytic platform that says, obviously, the amount of buyers and traders, have come down significantly. But the amount of wallets added to the space, in this case an OpenSea MetaMask, has kept increasing over time, which means that at the end of the day, yes, maybe there's 3 million new wallets from Reddit, maybe 50% of them stay active, but there's just a positive. The same is going to happen with Starbucks. I don't know how many people are they going to bring in, but the ability to pay with credit card, it's completely integrated within their platform. I think it's going to make it easy for them to integrate and bring so many people into the space, which is a net positive for us.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I 100%
yeah,
agree, and I think the more application of NFTs is going to drive more eyes and more volume in a sense of people being aware and learning about it, and then that will trickle down into the space. So
yeah,
the continued developments and the fact that Reddit has had such a good success in the terms of initial launch and rollout and how they've done it, I think is all very positive to the space.
yeah.
So you
And
know, uh, prices aren't everything, and it's about the underlying factors of what's happening there.
Yeah, and it's funny to see because you can see the newbies, right? Like right when we started in this, some Reddit users first experience what it is and how dangerous the NFT FOMO can be, right? Many of them, I remember reading a couple of comments on their platform saying that they were asking for partial refunds on their digital collectible purchases. So yeah, buddy, well, who's gonna tell them, right? Welcome to the NFT world. There's no refunds here, man. So just wanted to make that's a funny point to what's coming, which is like so many new people understanding how NFTs play, and just the fun and the, I guess, the danger side of it. So
Sure. Now, in what you said, mentioned in regards to new entrants, etc. I mean, the only easy way to measure new entrants is wallets. Not a great metric. It's pretty fuzzy, especially with the free mint meta that we recently went through. But we can still see the trend. So, like, I do have a chart in my index document, and that August was obviously a really big onboarding event. End of August. Obviously, we know what was going on then. and that was about 7,000 new wallets at its peak. And then we've seen early January, starting in late December, all the way through to about late February as being really the big onboarding range, and where we've seen the most new entrants. It really dived down, and this was probably a really good lead indicator to a bit of the pullback in the market, as it's been kind of flat at about 4K a day, down to about 3,700, and even lower coming into where we're at here in um, looks like August. And in fact, meaning that I need to update this chart. But so that range that we see is been pretty flat throughout, with a couple key peak areas there. So also flat in the space is the blue chip index, which I mean is positive. It's maintained a really solid floor across those main projects over the last 90 days. Mid cap very similar, maybe down slightly, but again quite flat and quite solid, and really a good sign of a consolidation period within the space. And through consolidation, um, we can often see a really good rally thereafter. Obviously there's a lot of factors, and why it's so good that we have our crypto market update from 2 degrees and Borchilla and IO to provide that background insight, because that can lend to a lot of a drive. But as we range, that's where we start to see crypto perform, because the markets are ranging and they're not providing any uh, return availability. So then certain investors, certain buyers are going to go to crypto. And then same thing with crypto. If it's ranging, although obviously we spiked recently, but if it's ranging, then they'll look at NFTs as being an opportunity to accumulate, right? So
Yeah.
um,
Have you looked much into the Aptos NFTs or not much?
I haven't. I'm waiting for a little bit more staying power. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
and that's in the notes there, is that Solana almost vanished overnight, and really driven by Magic Eden, and maybe fumbling the ball on what they were doing with royalties and collector fees, and that whole space was seeing a lot more degen, with some really quality projects, but a lot more degen activity. And then suddenly Aptos is taken over. I don't very little. It's been on the radar, but obviously with everything else going on in the East space, and we want to keep up with that. Um,
Yeah, I
but
mean, just to add to that, I mean, there's this collection called Aptos Monkeys, and I believe their volume has, I mean, since they minted, they have done over 200,000 APT, which is the Aptos coin trading on the Topaz blockchain. That's almost $2 million right there. And I believe for the last couple of days, it has the volume has surpassed not only the Reddit NFTs but also the CryptoPunks. So just obviously it's a new chain, so obviously be aware of potential rocks. It's like Solana happened at the beginning. Do your research,
Mhm.
because it's going to be very volatile, and I don't know how long is it going to stay for, but definitely it's going to be an interesting one to follow. So
Awesome. Hopefully, it's something I can dig into for updates this week and into next. Um, and speaking of uh, royalties, lots of discussion going on. I did retweet a video by Swambat. I thought it was really informative, really interesting. And he puts out a lot of really thoughtful content. So if you have some moments, you can dig in and watch. But in that, we just got the breaking news a few hours ago, where Looks Rare has indicated now that they are going to make royalties optional on collections. And the that happening on Solana and Magic Eden. I mean, we all initially looked at that and said, hey, that's not a good call. Interestingly enough, the Looks Rare is being received a little bit more positively. I believe it's a bit of a desperation play, in the sense that their market share, though they never accumulated a lot, has really declined. And X2 Y2 has really moved in to be the second key player, and then even Blur looks like it could surpass Looks Rare, moving forward. So it will be interesting to see what goes on with that. Obviously, X2 Y2 made a bit of a similar play making collection owners to include the royalties and basically opt in. All of that, I think, is it's hard to say. I mean, there's such a back and forth way to argue each side of it. So really something to pay attention to. I don't know if I can definitively answer whether or not it's positive or negative. I tend to believe it's negative in the sense that the projects in the space have been founded and built upon the model that exists today, and disrupting that isn't ideal for any existing project that doesn't have a product or something that they're providing already to maintain revenue.
Yeah. No, I would add to that. I think it should be on a per project basis, not never go mainstream, because you think about, like, obviously, DGOTs and Utes. I mean, those guys have done great, and they just raised 7 million recently, so they don't really need. If you want to make a case for who deserves or who doesn't deserve royalties, right? Obviously, Yuga Labs, they have outside capital more than enough to buy the whole space if they wanted to. And then, on the Solana side of it, if DGOTs does it, is good, but the other 90%, 95% projects, in most cases, don't have that runway or don't have the capital to maintain and keep adding value to projects without selling more NFTs, with NFTs, which is a no. Right now it's definitely a no go. So, anyways, I think it should be done on a per project basis, and not think about, one way is the right way and the other one is not. I see a lot of division in the space about this topic, and again, I think it should be, for instance, for like one-on-one artists. I mean, that should always be, a yes for collectibles and for royalties, just because that's what artists live from, right? And then even projects that provide utility to members, that don't have the capital that that Yuga Labs or this, or even like RTFKT have behind them. So, anyways, just wanted to provide that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, uh, volume leaders that we've had over there, CryptoPunks continues to remain at the top and leads the way. My data here, I took the snapshot last night, so I actually have Basie up atop, Tyler Haas and a Fidenza, and we're seeing a bit of a art blocks run here over the last 24 hours. The potatoes, which is actually one of the large floor gainers on the week. Interesting enough, among the Goblin acquisition there, I was also considering the potatoes, with just the 9 gig and what's happening there. Although, not knowing what's happening with their second collection and how that was all going to play out was a bit of the hesitation. It comes to be that having potatoes allows you to be able to mint their next collection, the captains, which is actually going to be a tier higher than the potatoes. So that'll be interesting to see how that rolls out. But a lot of belief in the community behind that, and the team that's rolling out on that. So something to be aware. I mean, with the current run on the price, maybe a little bit late to move in, but as I said, it's gives you the ability to mint the next collection, so that can continue to prop up a project in that respect. So they're worth looking in and digging in further. Um, Another project that's seen a really positive run lately, and another one that I was ironically also looking at, was On Chain Monkeys. They had a really strong run yesterday. I believe a bit of an MFer slash um, high buyer that got in there, and that's resulted in a bit of a run for them. And then they also show up on the sales above floor, along with Lazy Lions, which have been getting a little bit of a resurgent buzz lately. Um, I love their art, and I would love to see them as a much more established collection. Other than to being there, the bit of a historical significance from their um, community. They were one of the first communities that really pounded the pavement and drove energy back in last winter. So would love to see them kind of move on. And then last bit of news here: Cool Cats has some layoffs. And why I wanted to bring this up is that we're going to see that in projects where, especially when we're toying at the whole royalty scenario, is that projects were they're capitalized in the East when the East was nearly double what it is today, right? And if they're not pulling that out into USD, then they're operating with half the funds that they initially set out with. But projects need to be mindful of what their spend is, because a lot of the times to generate more buzz and energy in the space, it requires them to use that capital. So it's a bit of a downward spiral in that respect if they don't have the volume. So um, it's going to be a continued challenge for many projects, and something to be aware of as a collector, that um, what do you see with this project, and how are they doing, and what do they have beyond maybe a PFP or the merch angle or the standard play into the metaverse. Do they have something beyond that? Are they working on some form of project? Are they product story? Are they working on a game, or is there anything in advance that's going to be able to provide them potential future revenues? Because that's really where you're going to see the largest success points. Otherwise, it's just additional collections where there's additional capital acquired by the holders, which dilutes the overall value. It's a model that is a little bit harder to work out, right?
Yep.
And then finally, the mint of the day, which has already happened. I logged into the website and checked it out, but then really didn't know enough about it to pull off the mint. It seems like I probably should have, but that's the RTFK Ramoa partnership, where they have the luggage at 2 ETH, and then I think it's a bit of a draw where you have a chance at the luggage as well, at 0.07, with about 2,200 collection. That's already trading at 0.25 just prior to this, and so that's the active mover of the day. So that is a much more thorough NFT update. I enjoyed the back and forth FG, and I'll pass it on so we can get on to our guests.
Yeah, thank you, Rhodes. That was a great overview of the market, and just to touch on your one of the things you mentioned about utility behind the PFP, right? That's one of the reasons why we brought on Small Bros and Undead Blocks today to stage. It's because we are really looking, like we do at B3L, for projects that are building additional value for members after they've minted, right? So before that, I wanted to do a quick room reset and make sure that everyone that is listening stays until the end of the show, because we're giving away a bunch of things. One of them is courtesy of the Small Bros NFTs, is the NFT at the top. Make sure you retweet it. Follow both the Small Bros and B3L on Twitter and stay until the end. And Undead Blocks is giving 50 of their tokens, upcoming tokens, to members. So also stay until the end of the show and we'll announce winners.